Okay, fellas, it's time to talk about the three things to talk about tonight. What to expect here in Latin America. I hope you guys can hear me because these damn microphones suck. So, anyway, right now, as you can tell, in Mexico, we have a pretty big volcanic explosion. Just give you a little background on myself. When I was in the military, I was a disaster preparedness specialist, which means that I would train military members to do um, nuclear, biological, and chemical warfare training. And that was at Herbert Field, which is the first special operations base under a very wonderful gentleman named Lieutenant General Pfister. This was in the 1990s, so you guys, my experience has been pretty good because in 1999 we had to use those skills not for disaster preparedness, but for actual activity. So anyway, I want to talk to you guys tonight about the three things to do if you are in a tourist town that has a volcano and it happens to explode. Obviously, you're going to want to evacuate the area as soon as possible. What a lot of dummies do, instead of running from a volcano, they want to sit around and take selfies. Well, poisonous gas is not a good thing. So I hope, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I just put a one or say something in the chat so I know you can hear me, okay? I don't know if you can hear me or not. Can't hear me? If you can't hear me, tell me. Let me know if you can hear me. You can't hear me, tell me. If you cannot hear me, I mean, I probably can hear me now, but because I just unplugged this whole damn thing. So we're going to talk about volcanoes, what to do with in an event of a natural disaster. All you're going to do, if your car, this is the messed up part, if your car gets contaminated with volcanic ash, listen, I really appreciate you. Wait. I hear you, but yeah, I hear you from the start. Okay, good. That means that my microphone is working, so I'm going to plug that bitch back in. Talk really fast about. That's actually a good thing then, because I probably said some incriminating shit in 10 seconds, which is fine. Anyway, I really appreciate you tuning in. I wanted to ask you a question. MedTech is one of, he's also got a YouTube channel, and he does some really, really cool breakdowns of vehicles and things like that he's worked on at his yard. So I think that's Illinois. So he's a passport bro that goes to and from Cambodia and bank in Thailand and places like that, which is awesome because he's a traveler. And guys, by the way, this has nothing to do with me. Yeah, I unplugged my shit, so I'm sorry about that. I do need to fix whatever the problem is here with this system here. But if your car gets inundated by volcanic ash, do not clean it with water. The reason why is volcanic ash is a little bit like concrete. The other thing is you don't want to use your windshield wipers because when you do that, it's going to scratch your window all to shit. So cool. Yeah, he goes to Cambodia and he's got a relationship there. So my hat's off to him. He's doing his thing in the States right now, which I'm sure he's just planning to hit right on back. I would love to have him do voiceovers for some of my car videos because I just like doing time lapses, but I don't have the voice like this guy does. He has such a good voice. I'm like, why in the hell am I the YouTuber? And you know what I mean? I just need a microphone makes my voice sound better. It doesn't sound quite as good as yours does, but okay, so I got a bit of a cold, but that's irrelevant. I was a disaster preparedness officer for the United States Air Force, and I work in disaster preparedness in a team on Herbert Field, Florida, which was special operations base. And I worked for a fella named Lieutenant General Pfister for many, many years, but not in Florida. I also worked for General Fogelman in Kuwait, Kuwait City, Saudi Arabia during the Iraqi War, the invasion, and as well as Operation Desert Shield. So the no-fly zone and all that stuff. So that's irrelevant to what we're talking about today. But I did want to give you some background on my personal experience with disaster preparedness. If you're a tourist and you go to a place that has a volcano that is erupting, and let's say you have a car, and that volcanic ash gets on your car, do not wash it off with water. Don't try to wash it off with water because it's not normal. It's like cement. It'll stick to your paint. It'll rip off your paint. You don't want to turn your windshield wipers on. What you need to do is have an air blower. If you have a steam cleaner, that works also, but for the most part, your car is going to be contaminated. You're going to have to change the air filters in your car, all of them. You're going to have to change the oil in your car. Hold on, what we got? Yeah, exactly. That's it. It's the air filter. And not just that, but the air filter is going to affect the, excuse me. I don't know enough about mechanics to know this, but I do know by textbook that if your car gets contaminated, your car is trash. It's going to run like shit if it doesn't die completely. If your engine light is on, don't drive it. That's what I remember. And I'm just most of the classes that I do on disaster preparedness, firefighting, you know, sprinkler systems for hangars, AFFF systems, wet systems, dry systems, foam, anything that has to do with this stuff. I'm doing it from memory. I'm not reading a script. I'm not reading any books. I'm not watching any videos. I just go from memory because these are day-to-day operations. So disaster preparedness, for any of you guys, don't go be a disaster tourist. Do you guys remember that big snowstorm they had up in New York where they had a snowstorm going on at the same time as a hurricane? And it was like 4 or 5 states covered in snow and a hurricane. Well, back in the day when I was on Facebook before, when I was in Colombia, I'm seeing these people go to New York that I know, and they're literally doing exactly what people do in every disaster that we respond to with Firefighters Without Borders. They go there and they take selfies in front of us, maybe holding a rock or holding a piece of wood or something. And then they'll like take a selfie and then they'll like drop it and then wander off and watch other people doing stuff. And that is bad because, I mean, besides it being stupid, it's bad for us because it gets in the way. Last time I had to do some major like extraction, there was a dude that was like literally trying to start my motor for my for okay, and you guys in the States have always heard of the jaws of life. Well, that's not what it's called. That's a brand name, but you understand what it is. So we're having to peel this guy and his old grandma out from under a guardrail on the turnpike. And there are all these people watching, hands in the pockets, which is fine because they don't need to be involved. But this dude like jump in and he's uncoiling my cable, my cords and my airlines and stuff, and trying to start my motor. And I'm like, please do not touch my stuff. And there's a process. You have to you have to communicate with the person who's using the materials and using the tools, so that when you're cutting, you know how much pressure to give them, how much you're going to take off, because you don't want to go full bore all the time unless you're by yourself, which is not going to happen. So getting involved or getting around a natural disaster and trying to help first responders is a big mistake, because you don't have the protective equipment that we do. In the event that there's no oxygen, or if it's a toxic environment and you decide to go there, you could die. So all you disaster tourists, please stay out of the damn way. Like last week, there was a big accident here on the highway. And the first person, like I said, it was a car that went under a tractor trailer and was trapped. And this dude like ripped the damn door open, and then inside, blocking this guy's way out, was actually the inside cover of the door. And then the airbags, when they blew off, it basically trapped this guy inside. He couldn't get out, and he's all shaken up because he's just been in a massive car accident. And so what the guy does is he opens the door and then sees that the guy is trapped, and then he pulls this damn thing out like a boss. And I would do the same thing, civilian or not. I would do the same thing. So the point is don't get in the way, and you don't want to be a disaster tourist. Mexico City, 2017, we had tons of people coming, driving around, walking around, taking pictures and videos and selfies, and boom, we're getting hit by aftershocks, hundreds of them. And where I was specifically in La Condesa, the sides of the building has like a fascia of cement veneer on it with tile. And all of them were falling. None of these people have hard hats on. They're all taking selfies while, the side of the building is collapsing. So there's that. So those are your tourist tips. Stay away from volcanoes that are erupting actively. You're going to use air to blow it off or steam cleaner. And if any of you guys have a steam cleaner, my hat's off to you. I don't have a steam cleaner, but I'm just going to take suggestion, and that is just blow it out with air. And you're going to have to wash your car many times after the fact. And you're going to have to change your oil half the amount, like half or a third of the amount of time that you would have with synthetic oil. It's that poisonous, even poisoned cars. And then the third thing, what I wanted to talk about was censorship, because this whole Mullen Delvany guy, the Bud Light disaster, first of all, that was a setup for a short sale. Short sale is when you bet against this stock that it's going to do better. Instead, you're betting it'll go worse. So this was all pre-planned. They knew that the stock was going to crash. So they enriched their entire families and their entire corporation, because if we have an economic meltdown and you know a way that you could systematically crash a stock, which would be insider trading, because you're going to do something that they know we're going to have public backlash. And this has nothing to do with transsexuals or gays or anything like that. This has to do with censorship. The reason why they want to make it so you're not allowed to talk about them. You're not allowed to talk about them. Even in Germany, where I grew up, where used to be a relatively free country, now has illegal laws that make it illegal for you to even talk negatively about a gay person. That, to the point where they will put your ass in jail. There is no more free speech in Germany. There's no more free speech in Germany. Leider nichts. So there's no more free speech. And now it's going to get progressively worse because we're in clown world. And see, I don't know if this is real or not. This could be a whole thing, could be just a simulation. This whole thing could be well, that's a theory that you got to get away from. This has to do with censorship. Think about it. If you talk negatively about the LGBT community and they add that plus P, okay, that's blankophilia. Okay. And in order to make that legal, they got to break all these rules in order to make it legal. In order to do that, they need public opinion. In order to do that, they need to convince everybody that it's okay for a man to feel like a woman and then play in sports against women. Now, knowing that, we know that men biologically have advantages in sports, physical advantages, and one of those things is lung capacity. So when I take a deep breath like that, I'm taking in a certain amount of air. Now, only about 70% of that is the capacity for a normal woman. So you could see there are some physical advantages besides muscle, aggression, bone density, muscle density. I mean, all the fibers in a man's body are so much stronger than a woman's. Torso, for example, has 30%, and something like crazy 60% of the bottom part of the torso, for as like women. So there's a huge disadvantage for women in the first place. Now you take a biological man and put a wig on him and say, okay, he's a woman now. If I say, no, it's not, that's bigotry, because that's what they kept calling me in this one particular feed in Facebook. not, it wasn't Facebook or Instagram. I think it was Instagram, right? And so there are two men that are in there that are pro transsexuals in sports. The rest are just obviously saying everything that you've been reading probably, and that is that trans women are women and therefore have the same attitude, so therefore they can compete fairly. Well, now we know for a fact that that's complete horseshit. Nothing is fair in these sports when it comes to biological men and let's say boxing or jiu-jitsu, or well, not jiu-jitsu, but boxing or judo or Muay Thai kickboxing. There's just no comparison. It makes no sense. That's like someone who's in the Tour de France and identifies, who's a motorcycle rider and says, "Oh, I identify as a bicycle rider." So, and if I say no, then I'm discriminatory or I'm bigoted. So what they're doing is promoting this narrative that anything negative said about transgenders is an offense, that's a felony, that you can get locked up for. This has nothing to do with what a man does with his money or his body. This doesn't do anything to do with gay stuff. This all started off as an atheist movement back in the 70s. So we're not doing anything that would you consider to be out of the ordinary, because we at one point were considered normal. Now we're the abnormalities. Now we're the ones that have the big biceps, the masculine men, the good ones that are toxic masculinity, that got to go and rescue people in a natural disaster or in a car accident. Now, I'm not saying that women can't do that, but I'm going to tell you something. If you've ever picked up the Jaws for Life, you'll see that damn thing weighs as much as an 80-pound dumbbell. And sometimes you got to go with that 80-pound dumbbell with a compressor and a roll of air hose on your shoulder, which is lined with steel, and it's heavy. So now we're talking, let's say, 5 bowling balls. That's what you're carrying. That's what you are walking with to this to cut this person out of a car in an accident. So it's a ton of stuff. Do not get in the way of the workers, because now we're going to have problems. We can't have problems like this. Now I'm letting you guys know in advance. I'm getting a lot of heat from transgenders because I'm just basically saying the truth. And the truth for demons is, I'm saying these people are demons, but they may have been influenced by demons in some way. Now, I never would believe this stuff before I came to Mexico. I'd be like, that's all woke nonsense, woo-woo nonsense. But only in Mexico will you see demons inside of fires. You're going to see the volcano in Mexico that has blown to shit, and now it's raining this poisonous shit. So, like I said, use an air blower. If you have a steam cleaner, I don't know how many people have steam cleaners, but like I said, first blow off everything with air, then use a steam cleaner, change the filters in your car, change the oil in your car, and don't drive your car, not for a while, until you can absolutely, with 100% certainty, know that what you have done is decided, I do not want to contaminate my car even further. You're going to have to wash it on a continual basis to get that dust off after the fact. The reason why you don't want to use water is because it's like cement. Ash is like cement, and it'll harden up on your car and you won't know how to get it off. So let's not do that. But censorship was just the most brilliant move because no one is talking about it. Not a single person even knows what insider trading is. But like I said, the Mulvaney guy doing the Budweiser commercials, that was a setup. What they do, and they went home to their families and said, guys and girls, family members, friends, okay, we're about to do a very interesting topic for the advertisement of Anheuser-Busch, Reebok, I think Adidas, many sports bra manufacturers. Because these motherfuckers don't have tits, so they have to make them and they have to bolt them on. And sometimes they have to wear sports bras for a while for them to not hurt themselves. Like I said, I do not judge what a person does with their money or their body. That's your business. It becomes my business when you get children involved, which obviously I work with kids, and no one is going to hire a trans gentleman to be a babysitter. That's a straight fact. And it's nothing personal. It's just that most pedophiles are gay. Most pedophiles are gay. So that percentage of pedophiles that are gay, you're not going to be hiring them as a babysitter anytime soon. But again, I'm not discriminating against these people, but they call me a bigot. And I said, no, I'm just not going to hire somebody who is a transgentleman to babysit my kids. You're crazy. No. Since the DCM-5 decided that gender dysphoria is a mental illness, now people are getting their dicks chopped off, getting their tits removed. If it really is a medical, see, we haven't had anybody inject anything or do something like that since lobotomy. Okay, so now we're telling people that there's a medical reason why these people are this way, and the only way to treat that medical anomaly is with puberty blockers, estrogen pills, estrogen injections, and then a shit ton of surgery. Because, like I said, they cannot reproduce, they must recruit. So now to do that, Roe versus Wade has been made illegal to have an abortion. So there's a lot of things happening like progressively here in Mexico, as well as other parts of Latin America. Censorship. Now, you've probably been able to say and do anything you want on the internet, on Facebook or Instagram or Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, you name it. That's the problem. They're trying to normalize just really disgusting behavior, justifying it, saying that it's medical. Okay, well, in no time in history have they had a medical procedure for surgery for mental health outside of, brain activity. So there is that. Them competing in sports is not the problem. Them trying to censor us and tell us what we can or cannot say is the problem. Because now you're talking communism. Now you're talking about a group of people that people just left the fuck alone have decided that they want to make a fuss about trans gentlemen activists, athletes participating in sports with women. This doesn't have anything to do with them. This has to do with creating a system and then making us adhere to that system in the event that we're in another conversation. I can say one thing, my credit score goes down to 450 or whatever. So they have leverage there. You got to know what you're dealing with, who you're dealing with, all those things. And what I've discovered is that most of these people are agents. They're not even really Facebook people. These are people who have just a lot of shaming tactics and things to say about people, but they don't actually know anything. So, like, I digress. The three things that you need to know, but the third, I think is most important, is about thieves. Because a ratero, which is what we call them here in Mexico, or a ladrón, which you would call them in Colombia, or everywhere else for that matter, is a thief. And they case out houses and they case out places and they case out cars day and night, communicate by text. One guy's on a bicycle, one guy's on a motorcycle, and there might even be a car full of fucking thieves. And that carload full of thieves can pull off some of the most amazing home invasions that even the special forces would be jealous. Door kickers, basically. And they're usually targeting single mothers. They see single mothers walking down the street, they assume automatically they don't have a husband, and that's the house they want to hit. So if it's in a nice neighborhood, that's where they're going. All right, yeah. MedTech says shake out that filter after volcanic ash. Yep. As if it wasn't hot ash. It wasn't hot ash. Yeah, that's just it. It's not hot ash. It'll burn right through it. I mean, imagine. Yeah. But no tourism for disasters, guys. That is very rude to us, and it makes our life harder as far as trying to get somebody out of a vehicle. So stop doing that. Okay, so what do we got? We need comments here. We got comments. Any questions at all? If not, we're just going to go ahead and move on to the next topic. So rateros, or thieves, ladrones, basically have this mentality, and that is, okay, you have this. I can never buy that, so I'm going to steal it from you because I'm entitled to steal it from you because you can replace it and I can't. How you like that? As this unfolds, I'm watching from a distance, clown world imploding itself. So in the meantime, I'm switching out some balls for soccer balls, some balls for footballs, for the kids to just throw around in uniform so they get used to the heat. They got to be able to handle that heat and fire. So when they're old enough and they get taken into the fire department, because they're going to know everything by that time, teach the kids as early as 7 years old how to read IFSTA version 7. And from soup to nuts, there's no reason why a little kid can't learn the same thing as an adult. I'm not going to have people jump on there and say, oh, so you know what? I just feel like, yeah, your feelings are what's so fucked up. So anyway, MedTech, if you don't mind, I'm going to be having a professional editor do my videos. And I need someone that's willing to do short voiceovers, because I need someone who has just a strong voice, who is not an American, that can be very helpful in an instrumental and helping me do the chicken bus, the 1969 chicken bus. So at least then, because now one of my friends, okay, says Marcos, is he's down in Brazil and he comes up here quite a bit. Basically, they just unplug you. That's the way he puts it. So censorship is not about gay or transgenderism. This isn't about anything except control, because you are a number and a disposable hero to them. That's what we are, disposable heroes. And but anyway, I'm going to put the banner up in the, let's see where we are. The PayPal banner, I'm going to put that there. So that's all done. And so what I'm going to try and tell people is that every single child that we have in our program is $75 a month. That's per kid. Now I have about 15, 16, 18 kids right now, and I have a handful of instructors, and all of them need tactical pants. So, but that's the thing. We usually do everything by hand, and we can't buy used fire equipment because it's very dangerous. It's a carcinogen. So we don't get any old uniforms. So how do you deal with rateros? Well, my favorite weapon is actually a flashlight. Now, I could take you outside right now, show you some people walking down the street that have no intention good, no reason to be in this neighborhood, and I can, with almost perfection, and see exactly what this is for real. So if you guys want to pay something, you want to sponsor these kids, is $75 each. And basically what you're looking at right now, that's my PayPal for the foundation, which is Firefighters Without Borders. And it is a AC, which would be a corporation, a C corporation. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed this tonight. I do appreciate the late night alumni coming out. I'm beat. I got a sick ass cold. I appreciate your words, and I would love to do something, collaborate with you. While I'm traveling around Mexico, I'm going to need somebody to do some amazing voiceovers, very short, but I'm willing to pay for that kind of quality. So that's the professor, and I'm out.